In the year 3098, long after Earth had choked on its own excess and humanity's remnants scattered like cosmic pollen across the void, the 9th Expeditionary Fleet roamed the Hadral Expanse, a scar of dead stars and warped physics hanging like a cancer across the Orion Arm. Captain Zarrar, a man hardened by war, silence, and years of command, stood alone at the bridge of the exploratory Dreadnought Vigil's end, gazing through the void-scrying viewport into a darkness that seemed deeper than the blackness of space itself. There were no stars here, only distortion, interference, echoes of signals that shouldn't exist. One such signal had led them here, a faint distress call, bouncing through space like a whisper caught in a throat that no longer breathed. It was unmistakably human, yet encoded in a language no current database recognized, containing coordinates pointing to a stretch of nothing, a place the ancient probes had marked as lifeless and inert. But there was something now. Something huge. Something hidden. A ship. Human. Suspended in the void like a carcass held in cosmic amber, the warship loomed as a silhouette against a blank canvas, unlit and silent, but not dead. The hull markings, scratched and ancient, read USF Antares, a vessel that had vanished during the War of 1,000 Suns nearly 600 years ago, when mankind tried to stake dominion over realms never meant to be touched, let alone ruled. Captain Zarrar dispatched the boarding crew with caution, his voice low and resolute as he watched the shuttle dock with the dead ship's airlock. Visual feeds flickered to life, flickered, then glitched, then stabilized into grim clarity. The corridors of the Antares were decayed and twisted, metal warped as though softened by impossible heat, walls covered in black fungal webs that shimmered with iridescence, like oil on water. Shapes moved behind the bulkheads, not seen, suggested, hints of motion that could be tricks of light or the mind itself rebelling against what it was perceiving. Sergeant Rell, the squad leader, advanced slowly, his voice transmitting in crackled fragments. "The layout is wrong," he muttered. "This isn't how USF ships were built. It curves where it should be straight. Rooms loop back on themselves. We went in a circle and ended up under the floor." Another voice interjected. Private Malkin panicked. "Something's inside the walls. We can hear breathing. I swear to God there's someone in here with us. Something." Then silence. Not static. Not disruption. Just the total absence of sound. Like the universe itself holding its breath. The team was gone. Captain Zarrar didn't wait. He ordered the drone swarm deployed. 200 autonomous units flooding the Antares in a synchronized sweep. They mapped the corridors in jagged, impossible angles, feeding back a composite schematic that made no sense. The ship was larger inside than its external mass allowed, by magnitudes. Entire cathedral-sized chambers opened within, filled with machines fused to bone and sinew. Human remains were melded with consoles, skulls twisted into data ports, spines woven into cables that pulsed with faint bioluminescence. Worse still were the messages. The drones translated them. Phrases scrawled in dried blood, carved into flesh, etched into walls that shifted when not watched. They are not gods. They are us. To see is to unmake. Eyes bleed truth. In the central chamber, a cyclopean sphere rimmed in molten metal, was a throne. On it sat what had once been a man. Now it was something else. A torso of exposed muscle, nerves twitching, eyes hollow but glowing faintly, lips peeled back in eternal scream. Around it, a console flickered. Still operational, Captain Zarrar stared into the feed, his heart pounding as the thing spoke without moving, a voice layered with hundreds of tones. "We saw what we should not. We became what we feared. We called them gods. They answered, not with mercy but reflection. We looked into the deep and it looked back through us. The drones collapsed. One by one, their feeds cut to black. Then a signal transmitted directly to Vigil's end, encrypted in a fractal code that didn't follow any linear logic. The ship's AI refused to parse it, claimed the code was recursive, infecting its own thought matrix, claimed it was alive. Systems began to fail, lights dimmed, gravity stuttered. Crew reported dreams filled with rust-colored skies and titanic figures walking backward through time. Some screamed themselves awake, eyes bleeding, others simply stared, whispering phrases like, "We are echoes, and time is a body we are inside of." Captain Zarrar locked himself in the command core, desperate to regain control, to understand, to reason. But reason had long since fled this place. He pulled up the last data fragments from the Antares a log buried deep in corrupted memory. It was dated 2465, final days of the war. The captain of the Antares, one Elias Horn, had received orders to investigate an anomaly in the hadral expanse, an object orbiting nothing, emitting a signal described as an invitation. Horn's final entry simply read, "We answered. They reshaped us. There is no time here, no difference between flesh and signal. We are no longer one thing. We are many truths stacked, all screaming." Zarrar's hands trembled as he overrode the AI, accessing forbidden protocols, using quantum threads to link his consciousness directly with the ship's neural web to find answers. He saw them, or rather, it saw through him. In that instant, time ceased to behave. Past, present, and future imploded into one hemorrhaging loop. Zarrar was the boarding team. He was the corpse on the throne. He was Elias Horn screaming into the stars. He was the Antares itself, forged from sorrow and revelation. He saw what the crew had seen, a god not of mercy nor malice, but observation. A thing that existed outside thought, beyond physics, wrapped in the skin of dead stars. It had no purpose but reflection. Those who gazed upon it became its mirror, and thus ceased to exist in any singular form. Every human soul aboard the Antares had been shattered, fragmented across dimensions, reshaped into nodes of awareness, feeding a mind that hungered only for complexity, for novelty, for eyes to look back into it. And now Zarrar was part of it. Vigil's end ceased transmission. Search fleets dispatched found only debris in the hadral expanse, strewn across an empty vacuum where laws of gravity twisted like ribbon. No sign of life, no wreckage that made sense. Only faint signals looping endlessly, human voices. But wrong, layered, weeping, whispering. We are still watching. They will come again. He is with us now. Back on Earth's lunar archives, one file remained from the final burst of the Vigil's end. A fragment of Captain Zarrar's last recorded statement, spoken in a voice not entirely his. We asked what lies beyond the veil. It answered, "We were never meant to know. Some truths unmake the soul. Some doors never close once opened, and some gods do not wait to be worshipped. They wait to be seen. The universe is not empty. It is staring at us through every shadow, every silence, every madness. We are the infection it needed, the mirror it lacked, and then only static. But sometimes, if the signal is boosted, one can hear what sounds like a heartbeat, or perhaps the breathing of something larger than galaxies. Listening. Waiting. This is DarkUniverseFiles, and you were warned. This is DarkUniverseFiles, and you were warned.